My name is Isabella Hale. I am 32 years old and I live in a condo in the city. You think you know the people who raised you. You think that if you give them everything, your money, your time, your love, they will respect you in return. I believed that lie for years. But one phone call on a Tuesday afternoon shattered that illusion forever. I was sitting at my desk, looking over marketing reports when my phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Gable, my elderly neighbor at my lake house property 2 hours away. She sounded frantic. She asked why I hadn't told her about the major renovations. I froze. I wasn't doing any renovations. I hadn't authorized anyone to touch that house. Isabella, she whispered, there are excavators here. They are tearing down the sunroom. Your brother Marcus is directing them. Your parents are measuring the yard. My heart stopped. I felt cold all over. My name is Isabella. I am 32 years old. For 7 years, I have been the financial backbone of my family. I bought my parents their home. I paid my brother's rent. I thought I was being a good daughter. But in that moment, staring at my phone, I realized the horrible truth. They weren't just visiting my property. They were stealing it. And they didn't think I would do a single thing to stop them. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? My name is Isabella Hale. I am 32 years old. To understand why that phone call destroyed me, you have to understand the last 7 years of my life. You have to understand that I didn't just love my family. I survived for them. I worked for them. I built my entire life around making sure they were safe and comfortable. I grew up thinking that love was a transaction. If I was good, if I achieved things, if I gave enough, then maybe I would be valuable. My brother Marcus was different. He was the golden child. He didn't have to do anything to be loved. He just had to exist. If he failed a test, my parents blamed the teacher. If I failed a test, they asked why I wasn't studying harder. I carried that dynamic into adulthood. I started my marketing business when I was 24. I worked 18-hour days. I missed birthdays. I missed dates. I didn't take a vacation for 4 years. I built my company from a laptop in a coffee shop into a firm with 20 employees. And the moment I made my first real profit, I didn't buy myself a car. I didn't buy myself a designer bag. I bought my parents a house. Their old rental was falling apart. The landlord was raising the rent every year and my father's pension wasn't enough. I saw the stress in my mother's eyes, so I stepped up. I put down a massive down payment on a beautiful 3-bedroom bungalow in a nice neighborhood. I put the mortgage in my name because their credit was bad, but I told them it was their home. Thank you, Isabella, my mother had said then. She hugged me. It felt real. It felt like I had finally earned my place at the table, but that was just the beginning. Over the next 7 years, the boundaries disappeared. It started small. Marcus needed help with his car insurance. I paid it. Then he needed a security deposit for an apartment because he wanted to move in with his girlfriend, Jennifer. I wrote the check. Then it became expected. I remember one Christmas dinner clearly. We were sitting around the table at the house I paid for. The heating bill, which I also paid, was cranking out warmth. The food on the table was bought with my credit card. Marcus tapped his glass. Big news, he announced, smiling at everyone. Jen and I are booking a trip to Cabo for 2 weeks. My parents clapped. Oh, you deserve it, son, my dad said, beaming. You've been working so hard. Marcus worked part-time at a hardware store. He had quit 3 jobs that year because he didn't like the managers. I looked up from my plate. That sounds expensive, I said quietly. My mother shot me a look that said, don't ruin this. Isabella, don't be jealous, she said. Your brother needs to relax. Actually, we were hoping you could help them with the flights, as a Christmas gift. I felt a lump in my throat. Mom, I just paid for the new roof on this house. That was $6,000. So, Marcus said, stabbing a potato with his fork. You run a business, Bella. You have money coming out of your ears. Family helps family. Don't be stingy. Stingy. I paid for the roof. I paid their property taxes. I paid for my dad's dental surgery when his insurance denied it. I paid for Marcus's phone bill because he forgot it every month. I was pouring thousands of dollars a month into a black hole, and they called me stingy because I hesitated to fund a vacation I wasn't even invited to. But I did it. I wrote the check for the flights. I wanted to keep the peace. I wanted them to smile at me the way they smiled at Marcus. I told myself it was generosity. I told myself I was the strong one. But deep down, I knew the truth. I was buying their affection. And the price kept going up. 3 years ago, I bought the lake house. It was for me. It was the one thing I kept separate. It was a fixer-upper on a quiet lake, 2 hours away from the city. It was my sanctuary. I went there to write, to think, to breathe. I gave my parents a key for emergencies, or if they wanted to go up for a weekend of fishing. I told them clearly, "This is my private space, please respect it." They nodded, they agreed. I thought they respected me. I thought that because I provided for them, they would honor my one boundary. I was so foolish. I didn't see that to them. I wasn't a person with feelings and property. I was just a resource. I was an ATM that breathed. And when an ATM refuses to dispense cash, you don't ask it nicely. You smash it open. The drive to the lake house usually takes 2 hours. That day, I made it in 90 minutes. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I didn't play any music/radio. The silence in the car was heavy. I kept replaying Mrs. Gable's voice in my head. Excavators, tearing down walls. It didn't make sense. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe a tree had fallen and they were clearing it. My parents wouldn't do this. They knew how much I loved the sunroom. They knew I was planning to renovate it myself next year, exactly the way I wanted it. They wouldn't just start construction without asking me. That's illegal. That's insane. But as I turned onto the gravel driveway leading to my property, the denial died. The noise hit me first. The loud, grinding sound of heavy machinery. The beep 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 of a truck backing up. I rounded the final bend and slammed on my brakes. My beautiful, quiet cottage was a construction zone. A massive yellow dumpster sat on my front lawn, crushing my flower beds. A white van with Miller Construction written on the side was parked near the porch. And the house. My stomach dropped. The entire east wall was gone. The sunroom, where I drank my coffee every morning, was a pile of rubble. There was a gaping hole in the side of my home, covered by a flapping blue tarp. I got out of the car. My legs felt shaky. I walked toward the chaos. I saw my father first. He was standing by the dumpster, holding a blueprint, pointing at something. He was wearing a hard hat. He looked important. He looked like he was in charge. My mother was sitting on a lawn chair, my lawn chair, drinking iced tea, watching the destruction like it was a spectator sport. And then I saw Marcus. He was standing with a contractor, laughing. He slapped the man on the back. "Hey," I screamed, my voice cracked. "What is going on?" The noise of the machinery drowned me out. I ran closer, stepping over broken wood and shattered glass, the glass from my sunroom windows. "Stop," I yelled. "Stop it right now." Marcus turned around. He didn't look guilty, he didn't look scared, he looked annoyed. "Bella," he said, shouting over the noise. "What are you doing here? Mom said you were busy this week." I marched up to him. I was shaking with rage. "What are you doing to my house? Who are these people?" My father walked over, looking calm. Too calm. "Isabella, calm down, you're making a scene in front of the workers." "A scene?" I pointed at the hole in my house. "You destroyed my house. Why is the wall gone?" "We're expanding," my father said, as if he were explaining something simple to a child. The sunroom was too small. If Marcus and Jennifer are going to live here, they need a proper master suite. And we need a nursery for the baby. The world stopped spinning. "Live here," I whispered. "Baby." "Jennifer is pregnant," my mother called out from her chair, smiling. "Isn't it wonderful? We're going to have a grandbaby." "And they can't stay in that tiny apartment," my father continued. "We talked about it. This house sits empty half the week. It's selfish for you to keep it all to yourself. Marcus needs a home. This is perfect for them. We're adding a second floor to the garage for me and your mother so we can help with the baby." I looked from my father to Marcus. They were looking at me with total entitlement. There was no shame. They had planned my life for me. They had decided that my property was community property. "I never agreed to this," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "I never said Marcus could live here. I never authorized construction." Marcus rolled his eyes. "Don't be a brat, Bella. You have the condo in the city. You make plenty of money. You don't need this place. We're family. We decided this was the best solution." "We decided," I repeated. "Yes," my father said sternly. "We had a family meeting about it last Sunday. You were working as usual, so we made an executive decision. We hired the contractor Monday." "How?" I asked. "How did you hire a contractor? You don't own this house, I do." The contractor, a burly man with a clipboard, walked over. He looked confused. "Is there a problem, Mr. Hale?" he asked my father. "No problem," my father said. "My daughter is just emotional." "I am the owner," I told the contractor. "I am Isabella Hale. I did not hire you." The contractor frowned. I have the contract right here, ma'am, signed by Isabella Hale, and I have the power of attorney document attached to the permit application. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Show me, I demanded. The man handed me the clipboard. I looked at the signature at the bottom of the work order. It read Isabella Hale. It was a good forgery, but it wasn't mine. And behind it, a copy of a power of attorney document. I scanned it. It claimed I had given my father full legal authority over the property. It was notarized. I looked at my father. You forged my signature, he shrugged. I signed it for you. It's the same thing, I'm your father. I know what's best. You committed fraud, I said. Oh, stop using big words, Marcus snapped. We're fixing up your dump of a house. You should be thanking us. We're increasing the property value. Who is paying for this? I asked, looking at the crew of 5 men. You are, my father said. I used the credit card you gave me for emergencies. The deposit was $10,000. We'll need another 20 soon. They stole my house. They stole my money to destroy my house. And they planned to move in and push me out. I looked at my mother. She was still sipping her tea. She didn't care. I looked at the house. My sanctuary, it was violated. I wanted to scream. I wanted to pick up a hammer and smash Marcus's car windshield. The anger was a physical pain in my chest. It felt like my ribs were breaking. But then, something shifted. A cold clarity washed over me. If I screamed, they would call me crazy. If I cried, they would tell me I was overreacting. They expected me to throw a tantrum and then give in. That's what I always did. I always complained and then paid the bill. Not this time. I took a deep breath. I handed the clipboard back to the contractor. Isabella, my father said, a hint of warning in his voice. Don't start drama. I didn't look at him. I didn't look at Marcus. I turned around and walked back to my car. Where are you going? Marcus yelled. We need to pick out the tiles for the bathroom. I got in my car. I locked the doors. I reversed down the driveway. I didn't go home. I went to war. I drove 3 miles down the road to a gas station parking lot. I pulled over and turned off the engine. My hands were shaking so badly, I couldn't hold my phone at first. I had to sit on my hands for a full minute to steady them. I didn't cry. I think I was in shock. The image of the missing wall, the forged signature, the smug look on Marcus's face, it was burned into my retinas. I took a breath and looked at the logo on the contractor's van in my memory. Miller Construction. I searched them on my phone. Their main office was in the town center, 10 minutes away. I drove there. When I walked into the office, the receptionist smiled at me. Can I help you? I need to speak to the owner. Now, I said. My voice was flat. I must have looked terrifying because she didn't argue. She buzzed me back immediately. Mr. Miller was a middle-aged man sitting behind a messy desk. He looked up, surprised. Mr. Miller, I said. My name is Isabella Hale. You have a crew at 44 Lakeview Drive right now. Yes, he said. Big renovation, adding a master suite and a garage apartment. Your father is overseeing it. My father is not the owner, I said. I am. I pulled my driver's license out and slapped it on his desk. Then I pulled up the property deed on my phone. I kept digital copies of everything in my cloud drive. This is my house, sole owner. No co-signers, Mr. Miller frowned. But I have a signed contract and a power of attorney. The power of attorney is a forgery, I said. I did not sign it. I did not hire you. I did not authorize any work. You are currently trespassing and damaging my property based on fraudulent documents. Mr. Miller's face went pale. In the construction business, working without a valid contract is a nightmare. It means lawsuits. It means losing licenses. Are you sure? He asked. I am calling the police to report the fraud in 1 hour, I said. If your men are still on my property when they arrive, I will include your company in the lawsuit for negligence and destruction of property. He grabbed his desk phone instantly. He dialed a number. Jim, it's Miller. Shut it down. Now pack up the gear, get off the site. I don't care what the old man says. Get off the property immediately. Leave the dumpster, we'll get it later. Just get the crew out. He hung up and looked at me. Work is stopped. Ma'am, I had no idea. I need copies of everything my father gave you, I said. The contract, the permit application, the power of attorney. Everything. He printed them for me. His hands were shaking too. I took the file folder. Thank you. I walked out. I got back in my car and started the drive back to the city. I didn't go back to the lake house to gloat. I didn't want to see them. 10 minutes later, my phone started ringing. Incoming call, Dad. I let it ring. Incoming call, Marcus. I let it ring. Incoming call, Mom. I let it ring. Then the text started coming. Dad. What the hell did you do? The workers just left. Marcus, you are so selfish. You embarrassed Dad in front of the crew. Mom, Isabella, pick up the phone. You are ruining everything. Jennifer is crying. How could you be so cruel, Dad? Fix this? Call the company back and tell them to return. Now, or don't bother coming home for Thanksgiving. I stared at the messages. They weren't worried about me. They weren't sorry they destroyed my house. They were angry that I had stopped them. They were angry that the ATM had malfunctioned. I felt a strange sensation in my chest. It was the death of hope. For years, I had hoped that if I just did enough, they would treat me with respect. I realized now that it would never happen. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as a utility. And when the utility stops working, you don't love it. You kick it. I blocked their numbers. Not permanently, not yet, but for tonight. I needed silence. I drove home to my empty condo. I sat on my couch in the dark. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat there, holding the file folder with the forged documents. My house was broken. My family was broken. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't going to try to fix it. I was going to protect myself. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I went to see a lawyer. I had used Mr. Henderson for my business contracts before. He was a shark, expensive, sharp, and completely unemotional. Exactly what I needed. I sat in his glass-walled office and laid everything out on the table. The deed to the lake house. The file from Mr. Miller, containing the forged contract and the fake power of attorney. The credit card statement showing the $10,000 charge for the deposit. Mr. Henderson looked through the papers in silence. He adjusted his glasses. Isabella, he said, this is serious. This isn't just a family dispute. This is grand larceny. This is forgery. This is identity theft. Your father committed multiple felonies. Hearing it said out loud made it real. I know. We can file a police report immediately, he said. Given the amount of money and the damage to the property, your father could be looking at prison time. Your brother too, if he was complicit. Prison, my dad in handcuffs, my mom crying in a courtroom. The image made me sick. Despite everything, the guilt was hardwired into me. I couldn't send my 70-year-old father to jail, not yet. I don't want to file criminal charges yet, I said. I want to handle this civilly first. I want them out of my life and I want my money back. Okay, Mr. Henderson said, then we evict them. Evict them from the lake house, I asked. No, he said. We evict them from their house. I blinked. What? The house they live in, the bungalow, who owns it? I do, I said. I bought it 7 years ago, but I let them live there rent-free. There's no lease. If there's no lease, they are tenants at will, Mr. Henderson explained. You have the right to terminate that arrangement with proper notice. Isabella, they destroyed your property. They stole $10,000 from you. They attempted to seize your vacation home. You cannot continue to subsidize the people who are robbing you. He was right, but the thought of kicking my parents out of their home, it felt like the ultimate sin. It went against every instinct I had as a daughter. I need to know the damage first, I said. Mr. Henderson nodded. I'll send a forensic assessor to the lake house today. We'll get a dollar figure on the destruction. The assessor's report came back 2 days later. The damage was extensive. They had compromised the structural integrity of the east wall. The electrical wiring had been ripped out unsafely. The sunroom foundation was cracked. Total estimated cost to repair, $15,000. Plus the $10,000 stolen deposit. Total loss, $25,000. I looked at the number. $25,000. That was a car. That was a year of college tuition. And they had done it in 3 days without asking me. That afternoon, I unblocked my phone. I had 47 voicemails. One was from Marcus. Bella, you better fix this. Dad is losing his mind. You're acting like a psycho. Just let them finish the work. It's for the family. One was from my mom. I don't know who you think you are. After everything we did for you, raising you, you treat us like criminals. You are an ungrateful child. Ungrateful. That was the word that did it. I had given them a house. I had given them everything. And because I stopped them from stealing more, I was ungrateful. I called Mr. Henderson. Draft the papers, I said. My voice was steady. Which ones? He asked. All of them, I said. The demand for repayment, and the eviction notice for the bungalow. Give them 30 days. Are you sure? He asked. I'm sure. They are going to fight you, he warned. They will try to emotionally manipulate you. They will use the rest of the family against you. I know, I said. I'm ready. I wasn't ready. I was terrified. But I knew that if I didn't do this, I would never be free. I would be their servant forever. I set up a meeting. I sent a text to the family group chat. Meet me at the bungalow on Saturday at 2 p.m. We are going to talk. Dad, finally, you're coming to your senses. Marcus. Better bring your checkbook. We have contractors to pay. I stared at the screen. They thought I was coming to apologize. They thought I was coming to surrender. They had no idea I was coming to say goodbye. Driving to the house I bought for my parents felt different this time. Usually when I drove down that street, I felt a sense of pride. I would look at the manicured lawn and the fresh paint and think, I did that. I took care of them. Today, I felt like I was driving into a trap. I parked my car on the street, not in the driveway. I didn't want to be blocked in. I checked my bag one last time. I had the folder, the evidence, the legal documents my lawyer, Mr. Henderson, had drafted. My hands were cold, even though it was a warm day. I took a deep breath, stared at myself in the rearview mirror, and said out loud, "Do not cry. Do not back down." I walked up the path. I used my key to open the door, but the chain was on. I had to ring the doorbell of my own house. My mother opened it. She didn't smile, she didn't hug me. She looked at me with a mix of disappointment and impatience. "You're late," she said, stepping back to let me in. "It's 2 p.m. exactly," I said. "Just come in," she sighed. "Everyone is waiting in the living room." I walked into the living room. It was set up like an intervention. My father was sitting in his favorite armchair, the leather recliner I bought him for his 60th birthday. Marcus was sitting on the sofa, his arms crossed, looking at the ceiling. Jennifer, his pregnant girlfriend, was sitting next to him, rubbing her belly and looking at me with wide, judgmental eyes. There was a single wooden chair placed in the center of the room, facing them. It looked like a witness stand. "Sit down, Isabella," my father said. His voice was deep and authoritative. It was the voice he used when I was a teenager and I had missed curfew. I didn't sit in the wooden chair. I walked over to the dining table, pulled out a heavy chair, and sat there. I needed a table between us. I needed a barrier. "We need to have a serious talk," my father began. He leaned forward. "This behavior of yours has to stop. It is erratic, it is disrespectful, and quite frankly, it is embarrassing." "Embarrassing?" I repeated. "Yes," Marcus chimed in. "The construction guys think we're a joke. You march in there screaming, waving your arms, kicking people out. You made Dad look small. You made me look like a liar." "You are a liar, Marcus," I said calmly. "Hey," he shouted. "Watch your mouth. I am doing what's best for this family. Jennifer is having a baby. We need space. That lake house was just sitting there rotting while you played rich girl in the city. We were stepping up to fix it. By forging my signature, I asked. By destroying a wall. Details," my father waved his hand dismissively. "Technicalities. Look, Isabella, we understand you are stressed with work. Maybe you're lonely. We know you don't have a husband or kids yet, so you get attached to material things. But you need to understand that people are more important than property." My mother nodded in agreement. "Exactly. We are your family. We are the only people who will ever truly love you, and you are treating us like strangers over a pile of wood and bricks." "We have a proposal," my father said. He sounded like he was being generous. "We are willing to forgive your outburst yesterday. We are willing to move past this. But you need to call the contractor right now, on speakerphone, and apologize. Tell him it was a misunderstanding. Tell him to resume work on Monday. And you need to write a check for the next installment of the renovation costs. If you do that, we can go back to being a happy family." I looked at them. I looked at their faces. They weren't sorry. They weren't scared. They truly believed they were right. They believed that because I had money, and they didn't, my money belonged to them. They believed that because I was the daughter, I had to submit. "And if I don't?" I asked. "Then you are turning your back on us," my mother said, her voice trembling with fake emotion. "You are choosing money over your brother's child. You are choosing greed over love. And I don't know if I can have a daughter like that." Jennifer spoke up for the first time. Her voice was soft and pitying. "Isabella, think about the baby. Don't you want your nephew to grow up in a nice house by the lake? Don't you want to be the cool aunt? Why do you have to be so difficult?" Difficult. I sat there in silence for a long moment. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall was the only sound. I remembered buying that clock. I remembered buying the sofa Marcus was sitting on. I remembered paying the electricity bill that kept the lights on. "I have a proposal too," I said softly. "Good," my father nodded. "Let's hear it." I opened my bag. I took out the thick folder. I placed it on the dining table. The sound of the heavy paper hitting the wood was loud in the quiet room. I don't think you understand the situation, I said. You think this is a family argument. You think we are negotiating. I opened the folder. This is not a negotiation. I spread the papers out on the table, one by one. I took my time. I wanted them to see everything. This, I pointed to the first document, is the forensic assessment of the damage you did to my lake house. The structural engineer visited yesterday. You destroyed the load-bearing wall. You ruined the foundation of the sunroom. The electrical wiring you ripped out is a fire hazard. My father scoffed. It's a fixer-upper, it was already broken. No, I said, it was old, now it is broken. The cost to repair the damage you caused is $15,000. I laid down the second document. This is the bank statement showing the $10,000 you charged to my emergency credit card without my permission. That is theft. I was going to pay you back, my father argued. With what money, Dad? I asked. You haven't worked in 5 years. You live in a house I pay for. You eat food I buy. How dare you throw that in my face, my mother hissed. I ignored her. I laid down the third document. This was the heavy one. This is the affidavit from the notary public. My lawyer tracked it down. It proves that the power of attorney you gave the construction company was forged. You signed my name. That is a felony. It carries a prison sentence of up to 5 years. The room went very quiet. My father's face lost some of its color. Marcus uncrossed his arms. You wouldn't put your own father in jail, Marcus said, but his voice wasn't so confident anymore. I don't want to, I said, but I will if I have to. I picked up the final document. It was stapled in a blue legal cover. So, here is the deal. This is the only deal I am offering. I looked at my father directly in the eyes. You will pay me back the $15,000 for the repairs. You will return the $10,000 you stole. And, I slid the blue document across the table toward them. You have 30 days to vacate this house. My mother gasped. She put her hand over her mouth. What? This is an eviction notice, I said clearly. This house belongs to me. I have allowed you to live here rent-free for 7 years. That ends today. You are tenants at will, and I am terminating the tenancy. You can't do that, my father shouted. He stood up, his face turning red. This is my home. I raised you. You owe me. I owe you nothing. I stood up too. My voice finally rose. I have given you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. I bought this house. I paid the taxes. I fixed the roof. And you stole from me. You forged my name. You tried to steal my other house. You bit the hand that fed you, and now you are surprised that the hand is pulling away. Where are we supposed to go? My mother started crying. Isabella, we are old. We can't afford rent in this market. That is not my problem anymore, I said. Maybe Marcus can help you. He's the favorite, right? Let the golden child take care of you. Marcus jumped up. I can't afford them. I work part-time. I have a baby coming. Then maybe you should get a second job instead of planning vacations you can't afford, I snapped. You are a monster, Jennifer spat at me. You are kicking a pregnant woman and elderly people onto the street. You are heartless. No, I said. Heartless is stealing from the person who supports you. Heartless is gaslighting your daughter into thinking she is crazy for protecting her property. I am not being heartless, Jennifer. I am being an adult, and it is time for all of you to be adults too. My father slammed his hand on the table. I am not leaving. You will have to drag me out. If you are not out in 30 days, I said, my voice dropping to a deadly calm, I will file the police report for the forgery. I will press criminal charges, and instead of moving into an apartment, you can move into a cell. The choice is yours. I picked up my bag. You have 30 days. Do not contact me unless it is to confirm you are moving out. I turned around and walked to the door. My mother was screaming. I have no daughter. Do you hear me? You are dead to us. I paused at the door. My hand hovered over the knob. It hurt. It hurt more than I can explain. It felt like tearing off a limb. But I knew that if I stayed, if I gave in one more time, I would die. My soul would die. Goodbye, I said. I walked out and closed the door on their screaming. I thought the hard part was over. I was wrong. The silence didn't last long. 2 hours later, my phone started blowing up with notifications. Jennifer had gone to Facebook. She posted a long, emotional status update. She tagged me. She tagged my business page. She tagged every relative we had. I never thought I would air family laundry, but I am heartbroken. My sister-in-law, Isabella Hale, has just kicked her own elderly parents and her pregnant brother out on the street. She is a millionaire who cares more about her vacation house than her family's survival. We have nowhere to go. Please pray for us. We are victims of greed. It went viral in our small community. Comments started pouring in. Wow, I thought she was a nice person. Boycott her business. How can someone do that to their parents? Heartless rich bitch. My aunt, my mother's sister, texted me, Isabella, I am ashamed to be related to you. Fix this immediately. My cousins blocked me on Instagram. I sat in my condo, watching my reputation get shredded. My business partners called me, asking what was going on. I felt sick. I wanted to hide. I wanted to delete my accounts and run away. But then I remembered the folder. I remembered the truth. They were using my silence against me. They were counting on me being too classy to fight back. I wasn't classy anymore. I was done. I opened my laptop. I wrote one post. I didn't use emotional language. I didn't call them names. I just posted the receipts. I usually keep my private life private, but I will not be defamed. Here are the facts. I bought my parents a home 7 years ago and let them live there for free. I paid all their bills. Last week, my family forged my signature and a power of attorney document to take control of my separate property. They caused $15,000 in damages to my home while trying to move in without my permission. They stole $10,000 from my bank account. I did not kick them out because I am greedy. I asked them to leave because they committed fraud against me. Attached are the photos of the damage, the forged documents, and the bank statements showing 7 years of my financial support. I hit post. The internet is a funny place. It loves a victim, but it loves justice even more. Within an hour, the tide turned. People saw the photos of the smashed sunroom. They saw the dates on the bank statements showing me paying for Marcus's rent, his car, his groceries. They saw the forgery. The comments on Jennifer's post changed. Wait, you stole from her and now you're crying. She paid your rent for years and you forged her signature. You guys are criminals. Isabella is a saint. I would have called the cops. Jennifer deleted her post, but it was too late. Screenshots were everywhere. The flying monkeys, the aunts and cousins who had attacked me went silent. My aunt texted me back. I didn't know the whole story. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Then came the begging. My father showed up at my condo building the next day. The doorman called up. Your father is here, Miss Hale. He says he just wants to talk. He's crying. I looked at the intercom. Tell him I'm not home, and please do not let him up. If he stays, call the police. Yes, ma'am. I watched from my window as my father, a man who used to terrify me, stood on the sidewalk. He looked small. He looked old. For a second, I wanted to run down there. I wanted to fix it. But I touched the glass of the window and whispered, no. If I let him up, he wouldn't apologize. He would manipulate. He would cry until I wrote a check. I turned away from the window. I went into my kitchen and made myself a cup of tea. My hands were steady. The 30 days passed slowly. I didn't hear from them directly, but I heard from Mr. Henderson. They are asking for an extension, he told me on day 20. No, I said. They are asking if they can keep the furniture, he said on day 25. No, I said. I bought the furniture. If they want it, they can buy it from me at market value. They didn't buy it. On the 30th day, my lawyer met them at the bungalow to collect the keys. I didn't go. I couldn't bear to see the house empty. Mr. Henderson called me that afternoon. They are out, he said. The house is a mess, Isabella. They left trash. They scuffed the walls, but they are gone. And the money? I asked. Your father cashed out his $401,000, Mr. Henderson said. He gave me a cashier's check for $25,000. It covers the theft and the damages. I felt a wave of relief so strong it made me dizzy. They actually paid. I learned later what happened to them. My parents moved into a small studio apartment on the other side of town. It was all they could afford. My father, at 70 years old, had to go back to work. He got a job as a greeter at a large retail store. It was humbling for him. He hated it. Marcus and Jennifer couldn't afford the city anymore without my subsidies. They moved 2 hours away to a cheaper town to live with Jennifer's parents. I heard Marcus finally got a full-time job in a warehouse. They were struggling. They were unhappy. They blamed me for everything. But they were surviving. They were finally living the life they could afford instead of the life I paid for. As for the bungalow, I didn't sell it. I couldn't bring myself to sell it yet. I hired a cleaning crew to scrub it top to bottom. I painted the walls a new color. I rented it to a young couple, a teacher and a nurse. They were respectful. They paid their rent on time. They sent me a Christmas card, thanking me for being a great landlord. It was strange to be treated with respect by people living in that house. It made me realize how abnormal my family dynamic had been. I took the money my father paid me and I put it all into the lake house. I hired a new contractor, a reputable one. We rebuilt the sunroom. We fixed the wall. I made it exactly the way I wanted it. No nursery. No master suite for my brother. Just a beautiful, light-filled room with a view of the water. I blocked my family on everything. Phone, email, social media. I changed my locks. I changed my routines. I was alone. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't lonely. I chose myself, and I'm not sorry. 6 months have passed since the eviction. I am sitting on the deck of my lake house. It is early morning. The mist is rising off the water. I have a mug of hot coffee in my hands. The air is crisp and clean. My phone is on the table next to me. It is quiet. No frantic texts asking for money. No guilt trips. No drama. Sometimes I still feel a pang of sadness. I mourn the family I wanted. I mourn the parents I wish I had. I see other women having lunch with their mothers, laughing, and I feel a sharp ache in my chest. But then I remember the excavators. I remember the forged signature. I remember the entitlement in my father's eyes when he told me my house was his. I realize now that I didn't lose a family. I lost a burden. I used to think that being a good daughter meant lighting myself on fire to keep them warm. I thought that if I just gave enough, they would finally see me. But you cannot buy love, and you cannot buy respect. If someone loves you, they don't steal from you. If someone respects you, they don't forge your name. Family is not defined by whose blood runs in your veins. It is defined by behavior. It is defined by who shows up for you, who respects your boundaries, and who loves you for you, not for what you can give them. I took a sip of my coffee. The sun was breaking through the mist, turning the lake into a sheet of gold. I am Isabella. I am 32 years old. I have a successful business. I have a beautiful home. And I have my dignity. I chose myself. And I am not sorry. Protecting yourself isn't cruelty. It's clarity. And sitting here in the silence of my own home, everything is finally clear.